Welcome to Leadership, the Secret Sauce, the podcast where we talk to extraordinary coaches and leaders to dive into the realms of leadership and coaching. We're your hosts, Dave Lipsky and Matt Dodson. So let's jump in with another guest and find out their answer to the question, what is your secret sauce? Before we begin, a quick shout out to our sponsor, Character Matters Coaching and Consulting, where they believe that your character is the compass guiding you through life's journey. Whether you're facing personal or professional challenges, they are dedicated to helping you discover and strengthen the core values that define who you are. Dave, who do we have on the podcast today?
I am excited to welcome Jeffrey into the podcast. And we usually like to start out with a question, which is we often ask about people's energy level. I wanted to ask you, what's your energy level on the inside and what's your energy level on the outside as you look around and share where you are?
Oh man, let's get going right away, right? Right out of the gates. It's funny because the curse of knowledge is when we're so familiar with something, we forget what it's like not to know, right? So when we apply that to energy, like I'm a live wire when other people, tell me about my energy. Sometimes on inside, I feel slow, I feel introspective, I feel like I want to chill, but to the rest of the world, I'm a live wire. Yeah, I'm intense. By other people's standards, naturally on a disc behavioral assessment, I'm high D, high I. So I've got the intensity of the go-getter, and I've got all of the animation of the people person, and so I'm a live wire, but I'm desensitized to it because my own self-talk is hyper aware of when I want to relax, chill, think, journal, be introspective, and I don't feel as hot. You know what I'm saying? And as electric as other people, have fed back to me that I come off.
Yeah, I love that answer. I'm like as I think about the volume control on my
Yeah.
intensity, right? Depending
Yeah.
on where I am and what situation I'm in, I have to consciously turn it up and turn it down. I actually don't have to turn it up. I actually have to turn it down.
Yeah.
And you're sitting on an airplane and you're headed out from San Diego to let's say New York. Fabulous, right now it's 72 degrees. Feels like San Diego. And somebody turns to you on the airplane and says, hi, what do you do? How do you answer that?
Well, it depends on if I've been drinking in the terminal or not before I've gotten onto the plane, right? Is this an
One
adult
martini.
show? Is this an adult show or is this a like super professional diplomatic I might run for office one day show?
Matt's easily offended. Just wanted to share
Okay.
that with you, but you know him
Okay,
better
so
than me.
let's assume I had 6 or 7 beers. It's me. Or if it's easy to read what a jovial fellow you are, Dave. Right? So like in other words, I'll read the room. And so I like to say, well, I unf people. Right? Like that's my one of my favorite answers if I've had some drinks and if it's social and I don't have my guard up so much, right? But if I have to go to the other end, like for example, if I'm in a networking meeting with a bunch of professional advisors and I want to like earn their business and be respectable and presentable, I'll say I'm a soft skills guy.
Hmm.
I think soft skills make strong leaders. I think soft skills make strong teams. I think soft skills make strong organizations. So I'm a soft skills guy, that's so, in coaching, consulting, training, but to be succinct, I'm a soft skills guy. That's what I'm saying a lot lately. And there's like over, 100 soft skills. I have my favorites among them, but I'm a soft skills guy. Who people.
Jeff, oftentimes we ask the question, like, what is your walk-up song? I'm sure you probably have one, like, off the top of your head. So for those of you who don't know, Jeff and I went to middle school together and high school together. So we've known each other for probably close to 40 years. And
Yeah.
what is your
Wait,
walk-up
I thought you
song?
were both 32 years old,
Well, that's
Matt.
close.
It's
Okay, then
really
we've known each other
confusing.
since we were like
Well,
five.
It's
Dave, I only since I know you to be teasable, I'll say, well, that's what you get for thinking. Right? Like when I had hair when I was 32 years old. That's all right. Nothing grows on a busy street. It's gonna be something by the Chili Peppers for me, the Red Hot Chili
Okay.
Peppers, right? And like if I had one song comes to mind right away, Can't Stop by the Chili Peppers. That's I'm a big Red Hot Chili Peppers fan, but I grew up with, Matt, when we were in school and everybody was listening to like, synthesizer music, I was still listening to rock and roll, so I like, Led Zeppelin, The Doors, The Who, I like Jimi Hendrix, etc. But these days, you want it to have a little bit of familiarity, you want it to mean something to you, but if it's a walk-up song, you have to have the fans in mind too. You're walking up to the plate and there's fans in attendance and there may be scouts and there may be media. So if it's a walk-up song, it's got to be a little bit about me. And then it's got to be very much recognizable and enjoyable and meaningful for everybody else that's observing and paying attention.
So
And
did we
Chili
get
Peppers are
we
more
get a song?
popular,
But oh, so it's
more
like
popular.
"Can't Stop" by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
Can't stop.
Okay.
Addicted to the shindig. Yeah.
Okay, Jeff. So one of the questions that we like to ask all of our guests is, what is your secret sauce? Like, if you had to describe something, what is your secret sauce?
Yeah, this is a great question because now it's like all this stuff comes to mind, right? Can I give you three answers?
Sure. Yeah.
All
It's
right.
unlimited
So,
sauces. I mean, the
yeah.
last two guests have basically said it's a mix of ingredients, and they've given the same, yeah.
Well, so one answer is the mix of the three ingredients: engagement, motivation, and accountability. That's kind of a serious answer, right? Engagement, motivation, and accountability, right? So those are the three pillars that hold up everything I do professionally, right? First of all, I got to get you engaged, right? I got to get you excited. You got to be able to leave that starting line and run and jump on your own. I'll be at the hurdle to help you over. But I got to get people excited about what they're doing. I got to, right? And so it's hard to leave the hurdle, abandon everybody that is running and jumping, go to the starting line and push, pull, drag, lift, and throw somebody over the hurdle, right? So you want to help people that want to help themselves. So engagement. What are people excited about? What do they love? That's number one. And there's methods and techniques to do that. Engagement, then motivation, and that ambiguity of language. People have different meanings that they make of motivation. What I'm talking about is like in particular behavioral change, right? So one way to motivate people is to give them strategies, tactics, or resources. But you could have the best boat, have the best crew, be the best sailor, have the best map and a blank check from the queen to go and trade with. But if you believe, the world is flat, you're not going. So the other side of motivation in my ecosystem, in my world, in my work is the checkup from the neck up, right? Is we got to peel the layers of the onions and find the limiting beliefs and the language uses and the vibrational, the emotional addiction and clear that stuff out of the way. So that's motivation, engagement, motivation. And then the third piece is accountability. Once I know who you are and what you want, and once we've given you strategies matched to your behavioral style and gotten you out of your own way, the only thing left to do is count. So it's engagement, it's motivation, it's accountability. But we know you guys are nodding your heads. I know you know what I'm about to say. Accountability always feels like an attack when we're not ready to be 100% responsible for our own behaviors. So, the second answer I have to your question is a model that I came up, the integrity game. So this is my secret sauce. This is the brand that I'm pushing. It's a 10-point model. The model, if you double click, each point on the model takes us into a land of personal professional growth content. But then we can turn those points into questions and then invite people to answer these 10 sets of questions for themselves, make sure their answers go together, and then share their answers with somebody that they trust to hold them accountable to their answers, right? In my experience, a lot of people would rather go to the water cooler and complain about everybody else than take the time to be vulnerable and decide for themselves what they want, right?
Mm.
So I'm playing a big game in that regard, right? I want to make accountability less threatening. I want to make it fun and easy to look within. So I don't say, hey, I've got an intense, immersive accountability. No, people will go running. Say, hey, let's play integrity game. So I want to be jovial. I want to be dad jokey, etc. So when you talk about secret sauce, my goodness, that's my third answer. It's joviality. It's being a walking dad joke. It's it's Klooby snacks, right? Bite-sized and delicious motivation. So this is a book I came out with my daughter. It's 52 of my motivational quotes and her journal style responses to them before she heads off to college. In 3 weeks, we go to drop her off in New York City and Fordham. So David, are you in New York City right now, David?
I am 1 hour north of the city, and I teach a night class at NYU. So
Well, we're
we're
gonna have to make our plans. Can you imagine, Matt, just to get you a little bit jealous, like, can you imagine if I give David a big hug before you and I see each other again in our reunion? And we are the ones that
It's
have known each
very
other 40
possible.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the head nods. But so
Hey,
those are my three answers on secret sauce, right? Engagement, motivation, accountability, the integrity game, which is the 10-point model, and then Klooby snacks, which represents dad jokey joviality to disarm people, be vulnerable, wear it on our sleeves, and have a bunch of fun because personal professional growth's hard. We don't need to make it any harder.
so Jeff, let me ask you this question. So since I've known you a long time, now
Yeah.
just I don't know if he brings it out very often, but like even in middle school when you wrote for the Pale Observer or whatever that was. I think it was.
Yeah.
Um,
And then
you had the Get a Clue, right? Didn't you
that
have the
was
Get a Clue?
Get a Clue came out in high school for the King's
Yeah.
Courier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
then,
yeah. But
so my
I
question.
did write for the Observer. Get a Clue wasn't born yet then.
Oh, right. Okay.
Like embarrassingly so. I didn't even know what the hell
Yeah.
an editorial was. I
Yeah.
was
It
on
was great.
journalism in eighth grade, but I didn't know what an editorial was. Once I got to high school, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, what's an editorial? They're like, well, it's
Yeah.
an opinion piece. I'm like, what? Opinion piece? Can I do that on the sports page? And Miss Nordlinger, God bless Miss Nordlinger, one of my favorite professors, teachers of all time, she says, as a matter of fact, you can. I said, good. So I could give my opinion, polarize, get parents of
Mm,
like theater kids or speech kids or whatever, right?
yeah.
Just like to separate, you know, the letters, the athletic
Yeah.
from the non-athletic letters. I wrote an
Yeah.
article about that, and the parents were pissed. And it was like so awesome because there was all these letters to the editor written in. Miss Nordlinger comes to me. She's like, "You've pissed off a lot of parents." I'm like, "Good, give me those letters." And she's like, "What are
Ah.
you doing?" I'm like, "I'll be right back." Went down to the pizza shop, sold a quarter page of advertising, and then came back. Anyway, it was awesome.
Okay. So Jeff, my question was like, how did you like? So you've always had a way with words,
Thank you.
right? But when did you kind of know those things were your secret sauce? Like, how did that sort of evolve? Like, even just like, if you follow you on like LinkedIn, you could see what you were doing with your daughter is kind of a recent, sort of evolution of, sort of
Hmm.
your brand or maybe
Thank
even
you.
your secret
Yeah,
sauce. Like,
that whole
how did you
thing. Well,
know?
that's
Like,
part of it. Well, the thing is, like, one safe answer is I don't know if I know. Who
mm,
knows? I don't know. Who knows if I know? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's still evolving, right?
yeah,
But that's one answer. The other end of that continuum, if you will, is like it's probably before I was conscious. Like, probably I said something as a kid, the adults laughed, and I'm like, this feels good. Let me keep
mm,
doing this. Right. And then all kinds of stuff in between. Right. So,
yeah,
I teach classes, when I was getting my master's, that's when I learned to teach. And I took it seriously. If you like, this is, I'm such an idiot. Not really, but I was teaching it as a graduate student and I was offended. I took it personally, like I'm a bad teacher because the kids weren't coming to class. Like, wait a second. They're 18 years old. They're living in the dorms. They're living with 1,000 other people, and the pheromones are going. And Tijuana is 25 minutes away, and you're taking it personally that kids aren't showing up to public speaking class, which they have to take because of general ed. Anyway, so I got over it real quick, but I still, my point. Thank you for laughing, David. My point is that I look to that as that's when I was conscious, like I'm going to use humor. I'm going to wear it on my sleeve. I'm going to not take myself so seriously. I'm not an academic grad student that's under all this pressure to impress my professors. And so it rolls downhill to my students, and you're all 18-year-old snot-nosed punks, and I'm going to separate myself from you. I'm like, hey, I know what you're going through.
mm,
Hey, I'm here with, whatever. I just wanted to get on their level and be a resource in their life. And and then they would write stuff down. They would take notes. Hey, can you say that again? And people would say, hey, oh, that was good. Oh, hey, I like that. And so basically picking up on a lot of feedback.
mm,
Back to Klooby snacks, the original Klooby snacks were my wife's homemade cookies. Like, yeah, somebody would take a bite of the cookie, they go, oh, and I'm like, oh, let's brand that Klooby snacks. And then ultimately I got enough feedback on my wordsmithing and my phraseology and my quotes, etc., when I'm teaching or when I was speaking or whatever I was doing. So I'm like, well, or my motivational quotes, right? So it's even before Abigail was born. Abby is 17 now. So I was coming up with Klooby snacks before she was even alive, right? So for almost 20, 17 years, 18, 20 years, Klooby snacks have been either my wife's homemade cookies or my motivational quotes. But even just saying that readies people. They're on the edge of their seat waiting for a Klooby snack to come around. And I'm using it in my public speaking now as delivering the Integrity Game keynote in a Vistage group to 16 CEOs the other day. And when I was introducing myself and my credentials, I said, hey, I've written 3 books that went to number one. One of them's Klooby snacks. So if I hear anybody say zoinks, during the session today, that's because I said something that you thought might have been a Klooby snack and you'll get a book. And so I was like just playing around with it. Like I'm giving away free books if anybody likes what I have to say.
mm,
And I'm having fun with it because like I said before, personal professional grows hard enough.
mm.
So
Yeah.
last thing I'll say here is like when you
Yeah.
add it all up, motivation, engagement, accountability, integrity game, Klooby snacks, are you ready? It comes down to secret sauce, lubrication. It reduces friction, right? Makes things easier, right? Lubrication, because personal professional growth is hard enough. There's inertia, there's resistance, there's ego defense. So how do we grease those skids? How do we make it easier to look within? How do we make it fun? How do we anyway, that's what it's all about for me.
After lubrication, all of my questions have disappeared into the floor in a pool. So I want to bring you back to high school for a second because there's
Yeah.
something that you said that really caught my attention. You
Uh-huh.
figured out very early on the value of disrupting people's thinking, right?
Yes. Yes.
And like something about that. And then how would people experience that in your coaching?
It depends on who they are, right? Like I'm sorry to be so political or diplomatic, but an analytical is going to respond to that differently than somebody with my behavioral style, right? And then depends on their filter and their values and their attitudes, beliefs, and what counts as pleasure and pain and da 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 da. Um, so, I'm not really sure how to answer that. Sometimes people don't get it right away. You need to use, repetition is key to effective communication. Sometimes you say six, and sometimes you got to say 5+1 or 7-1 or 60 divided by 10. You got to keep going until it lands, right? Until you see that it lands. Sometimes other people just pause right away. They go, whoa, like I said. Sometimes people are like, hang on a second, say that again. Hang on a second, let me write that down. I'm like, we're recording this. No, no. And they want to write it down.
Mm.
Right. And then sometimes, not to sound cheesy or sometimes the breakthrough, sometimes it's tears, sometimes it's a real psycho emo puncture. And, I tell people all the time in coaching with me, um, there's two things you could do in coaching with me that you might not want to do outside of coaching with me, right? Like maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know. But the two things that you're allowed to do when you're coaching with me is brag and cry. You can brag when you're in coaching with me, celebrate, smell the roses, pound the chest, know yourself to be somebody who kicks ass. Like, let's make sure you're doing that. Let's build that muscle. And then let it out. Jeez, let it out. You're safe. Either way, you're safe
Mm.
with me.
Yeah. Jeff, like,
Even when
okay.
I'm disrupting thinking. So I'm sorry,
Yeah.
David, it's hardcore accountability, but I'm delivering on a plate of I love you. So in the process of me being vulnerable and cheesy and wearing it on my sleeve and taking chances and being willing to, trip all over my joviality, right? How could you consider me to be threatening? Like that's I guess to cut through when I work with people, they know I love them. I'm working with you. I love you. I'm willing to be vulnerable with you so that you grow. Whatever it takes, we're in this together.
Mm.
Yeah, I feel like engagement, embrace, motivation, embrace,
Mm.
accountability, mirror.
Yeah, well, that's why I call it the integrity game. That's one of the reasons is to, right? And you're not even asking me about the details of the integrity game yet. I hope everybody wants to check out the book on Amazon or whatever. We've got free resources, etc. But um, yeah, I know about ego defense. It's one of the barriers to thinking critically. It's one of the barriers to listening. It's one of the barriers to loving, right? Ego defense, natural fight or flight response, emotional fight or flight. Same thing that has us flinch or duck if we hear a buzz by our ear, right? Even if it's a fly instead of a bee, you can't stop that instinct to
Mm.
fight or flight, right? So when information comes along that threatens our sense of self, we'll fight or flight too, right? So if we know that's the automatic human condition, we know that ego defense is coming. We want a couple of Trojan horses or we want a couple of pawns out there up front to take the brunt of ego defense. And then once that dissipates, then we can get some real right. That I mean, conceptually as a framework, that's where we're coming from. You guys understand what I'm getting at?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff, we are kind of to put, the shoe on the other foot. What would you want from a coach? Like, okay, you're going to be coached. What are you really looking for? Are you looking for that same thing? Like the integrity game, Klooby snacks, that from a different source, or what do you want?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me what it is like specifically, like what's the one or two things
This
from a
is
coach that you think like, hey, look, this
one
is what
thing
I
I want
really
to, yeah.
need.
No, no, this is so one thing I want is Jeff, and the other thing I want is Klubeck because he's the best coach on the planet. Like, you guys know this, right? And I'm being silly, right? But all the work I do is just my professional projecting. It's everything I want for myself in my life. I didn't write the integrity game because I'm the guru on integrity. I wrote it because I want more in my life. Right? I didn't come up with engagement, motivation, accountability because I'm the guru on those things. I got it because I need to stay engaged because I'm easily distracted. I need strategy because my parents did the best they could, but didn't do as much as I need to get my family where I need it to go. I need accountability because you understand. So I'm just being transparent here. Everything I do is a reflection of what I want and need.
Mm.
There's no mirrors, there's no facade, it's like I'm a walking, breathing billboard for what I want in my life. And, sometimes I live up to my coaching, my standards, my desires, and I'm human like everybody else. Surgeons don't operate on themselves,
Mm.
right? There's only, so anyway, that's like an honest and jovial answer to my question. I want Jeff Kubleck.
Yeah.
I want the joviality. I want the wordsmithing. I want the intensity. I want, right? Like I want the hugular, not the jugular.
Oh, I like that hugular.
Yeah,
Are
Yeah.
you
there's
an easy or difficult? Yeah.
too many people in the world going for the jugular. So I go for the hugular.
Mm.
Okay. So it's got to be willing to, my coach needs to be willing to be vulnerable. My coach needs to have a sense of humor. My coach needs to understand the drivers of psychology. My coach needs
Mm.
to know a thing or two about communication. Now here's the thing. My coach doesn't need to have done what I want to do. My coach just needs to know how coaching works to help me get to whatever I want to get. Right? Does that make sense? A lot of you've
Yeah.
probably been in those conversations like, well, I only want a coach that's been successful in my area. Like, hey, buddy, if your coach is successful in real estate, they're making so much money in real estate, they're not going to stop doing that to coach you. Now you want to mentor, you want to shadow them, you want to hang your license in their office and learn and go through their training and onboarding. But they're not going to stop making 5 million a year in real estate to coach you for $250 an hour or whatever, 700, even 750 an hour. They're not going to do it. You need somebody that knows coaching.
Straight up. Yeah. Jeff, besides those resources, which ones do you go to really sort of like, maybe it's a book you reread, maybe it's something that you really go to like as a resource for. So we have a bunch of people that typically listen to our show that either are they're corporate people, they're either internal coaches or they're people from the outside that are wanting to be in coaching. Where would you go, or where would you suggest? What would you suggest they look at in terms of coaching?
Well, well, for people
Could
that
be
want,
anything though.
yeah, well, first of all, just generally across the board, The Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck. Okay. Um, and the original, because he got so successful that he did Further Along the Road Less Traveled and The Road Less Traveled and Beyond. And okay, but I'm talking about the 1977, like, Star Wars era, original, Road Less Traveled and Star Wars came out in the same year. It's great. Uh, yeah, there's a piece of trivia you didn't,
Yeah,
That is
connect
very
those
cool.
there you
dots,
go.
connect those
Wow.
dots, right? Okay. That's fascinating, by the way. Have you guys seen Andor? I'm a big Andor fan. Anyway, I think it
I did
rejuvenated
like
the
a
whole.
couple episodes
I think it
also.
brought
Boring.
back the whole thing. Anyway, all right. Hang on. It doesn't go fast enough for you, Matt. Anyway, that's a
No,
sidebar
it
conversation.
doesn't. I need
Okay.
motivation.
God. Okay. All right. Well, all right. I can't wait to see. It's going to be fun at the reunion. But my point is, somebody said road less traveled because it breaks into three categories, right?
Mhm.
Right? Discipline, love, and grace. And so at core, so in my model, like my integrity game model, it's 10 points. But when I'm presenting it, I use the image of shoelaces.
Mm.
You follow?
Yeah.
Like you go in one hole and you go diagonal, 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 and then up the top, diagonal, and then cinch it up. So the laces aren't tying the shoe. We tie the laces. What the laces are doing is integrating left side with right side. They're giving that shoe structural integrity so it could do what it's made to do, built to do, stay on our foot, protect our foot. That's the metaphor for what we want to do with the integrity game is use soft skills to give individuals, teams, and orgs structural integrity. Pressure tests are coming, whether it's a pandemic or an election or a tariff or whatever. You follow? Like pressure tests are coming, so we want to be resilient and we want to be able to withstand them. We will stay focused and unwavering on our course in the face of pressure tests. We can't pretend they're never going to come. We just got to be ready when they do, right? So that's anyway, the laces in that model, the laces are not any of the 10 points, but the laces are the adhesive that keep the 10 points together. So the laces are love. Okay. The willingness to be vulnerable so that either I or my beloved may grow. And that's M. Scott Peck, Road Less Traveled. That's like professionally, it's like a Bible for me. It's like you peel everything away from everything I do professionally, and you're going to find the road less traveled. So that's one. Discipline, love, and grace. Right? What's my responsibility? When do I surrender? When am I willing to be vulnerable for my own or another's? And then how am I dedicated to reality and to be able to delay gratification and right? How how healthy am I on the continuum of neurotic versus character disorder, where I'm taking either too much responsibility for something or not enough? Where how do I get into healthy within that continuum? So all of that's road less traveled,
Mm.
right? And then some. And so that's and then resources. When it comes to starting a coaching practice, be some people that want to be a coach. If somebody's in the corporate and they want to get off the hamster wheel and go build their own and take the professional equity with them, and then okay, well, I recommend Get a Clue in 52 for Coaches, which is a book full of tips about like it's 5 categories. And we start with self-promotion. We got to become a coach, let the world know we're a coach, but then quickly thereafter, we have to stop calling ourselves a coach and right? Because coaches are misunderstood and we got to qualify it or whatever, or we got to expand our menu to be able to have other solutions to people's problems rather than just coaching. You follow? And then it talks about how do I get motivation? How do I get provide accountability? How do we convert coaching clients? You got to know how to get a client. Like everybody's like, oh, I'm a great coach. Everybody told me that I'd be a great coach. Okay, well, how do you sell coaching? Well, I'm not a salesperson. Wait, do you want to start your own coaching practice? But are you going to coach for somebody else and let them bring in the lead? Because then you get paid little. If you're coaching somebody else's client, it's an assignment rather than self-generated, right? So ultimately, you want to get off the hamster wheel and get out of corporate and go build your own coaching practice. Well, now your initials are in every box on your own org chart. And coaching is just customer service. So it's only one of the 12 accountabilities you have to meet when you want to build a practice, right? Finding them, converting them, serving them, accounting for it all. You follow there's so all of that's in here. This is like my stream of consciousness, writing the way I speak, and it's organized into tips, right? So it's bite-sized and it's digestible. And yeah, so this is a resource I'd recommend for somebody who wants to become a coach, learn how to coach, build a coaching practice. It's really book form of my coaching and leadership training. So I've got a curriculum as a professor. When I went through my coaches trainings, I'm like, okay, this is cool, but this is bad pedagogy, right? To use, right? I'm like, all right, I'm not here to complain about how this is run. Let me just figure out how to do this, attach what I know to it. Now let me build my own curriculum. So I've got a coaching and leadership training. I can mentor and help people through that. So I think I'm a good resource for somebody who wants to learn how to coach, build a practice, right? Especially if my secret sauce resonates. You want to get people engaged? You want to learn how to provide strategy and get people out of their own way? And do you want to deliver non-threatening accountability on a plate of I love you? Then give me a call.
Hmm.
But read the road less traveled first.
That's great. Dave, what are your thoughts and reflections?
I love your energy, Jeff.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate it. You're welcome.
By the way, it's mutual. When it comes to love, it's always mutual. My energy loves you too, David. It's mutual.
Thank you. I feel embraced. It's interesting. My reflection is that, we talk to a lot of coaches that are developing, and the importance of you need to stand for something and then you need to translate it into your own language. And I think you
Yep.
are a great example of standing for things that are important to you and that's from life
Yeah.
experience and translating it into the Kluber language.
Yeah. That's a huge compliment and well received. Thank you.
I think, well, one, I would just say, Jeff, about your energy, you've had it as long as I've known you, and I'm always glad to see that. But I think the one thing that really kind of surprised me, and I would say I can really see it, was this idea, just how internalized you actually live the road less traveled. And I really find that
Yeah.
to be really, that's the inspirational part of your coaching, is the foundation of love. And I have said it on the podcast multiple times that I think if my clients don't understand that I love them, then why would they want to hear um, my coaching or be a part of that or partner with me or um, be a part of that sort of co-creative process? They won't.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to say hard things, they need to know that I love them. I think,
That's so true. Yeah. I love
yeah,
that you're getting that.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you hear, I need a coach. I need a drill sergeant. I need somebody to light a fire under all this violent language around it. No, 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 no. We don't have to do it that way.
Mm. Jeff,
I need
what's
you to
the,
put, I need you to push me. Get in my
mm,
face. Light a fire. I need you to
mm,
kick my butt. Like, you know how many people have said that about a coach? That's
mm,
not coaching. Anyway,
yeah.
thank you, Matt.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeff, what is the best way that someone can get a hold of you? Like if they heard this podcast and like, wow, it's
Well,
really fascinating. What's the best way?
first of all, they got to get to Calabasas, Woodland Hills on August 30th for the El Camino Real 35-year reunion. No, okay.
Yeah. Mm.
No, the second thing they need to do really is just call Dave. Dave, take all my calls. Book Dave. Make sure you ask the screening
Dave
questions
is
we
not a
talked
good
about.
admin, Jeff.
Don't let anybody through that. We don't. No,
Hey,
no, I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
Kluber Nation, how may I
Yeah,
help you?
yeah. It's funny. Oh, can we add you to the clues letter? I know it's August, but happy
Is that
Clue
what it's
Year.
called, Jeff? Is it called a clues letter?
I send out the clues letter once a
That's
week. Yeah,
awesome.
it's from the
Okay.
desk of. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, LinkedIn is probably the best. For your audience, your crowd, your crew. You find me on LinkedIn. I'm easy to find. Send me a message. We'll connect. Mention the show. Mention Matt. Mention Dave. Mention Klubrication. Whatever you need to do. Oh, by the way, do you guys see this? We had the wine. All right, official Klubrication inside.
Nice.
So that's really cool specialty advertising stuff. So get a clue, Jeff Kubleck, Klubrication. LinkedIn's probably the best way. If anybody goes to theintegritygame.com, we're in our process of creating a better website, but right now that you can still find your way to something called The Arena. That's our membership site, and we have a free level called General Admission, and that's where you could get free copies of the books that I've written, and there's other free resources and preview for the other stuff. So integritygame.com, look for The Arena. You can join for free and get a bunch of free stuff, including all of my books, or just contact me directly on LinkedIn.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very
Dave.
cool. I have 20 other questions, but are you
Have me
feeling
back.
stuck?
Have me back. I'd love to come back.
I think we're going to have to turn this into a class, Matt. I'm gonna end with a sponsor message. Are you feeling stuck or overwhelmed? Character Matters Coaching and Consulting provides leadership coaching and consulting to empower you to overcome obstacles and reach your full potential. Visit charactermatterscoaching.com to learn more about their transformative coaching and how to get connected to Matt for your organization. It was such a pleasure to talk to you, Jeff.
Likewise, you guys. Thank you so much.
And if Jeff, if you are in obviously the San Diego downtown area in October, we will be presenting on imposter syndrome and a coaching culture at the ICF Converge conference, October 23rd to the 25th. We'll also be recording this podcast. We're calling it ICF After Dark on the 23rd and the 24th in the evening. So if you're listening and you have a secret sauce you'd like to share, we are also going to be recording multiple secret sauces for a show to be produced later on. So thanks again, Jeff. We really appreciate your time, and thank you for coming.
My pleasure, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. If you love this podcast, please share it with another coach or leader. Make sure you go to the show notes to get all the resources from today's episode.